Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Favor and I'm a lifestyle content creator living in Manitoba, Canada. If this is your first time here, you're definitely on the right channel. Please click the subscribe button so you can join our family, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for always coming here when I post new videos. So guys, in this video I'm going to be talking about living in Manitoba, life in Manitoba, and things that will be helpful for someone who plans to move to Manitoba. So if you want to know what I have to say, definitely keep on watching. The first thing I'm going to be addressing is that it's important to do your research. Regardless of where you feel you want to move to, it's important for you to do some research. Like, it's nice for you to have an idea of what living in that place looks like, especially if this is going to be your first time, okay? No matter how small, please do some research, okay? Anyways, you've come to the right place because I'm sure you're watching this video to learn more about Manitoba. And don't worry, I got you covered, okay? The next thing that I'll be talking about is, or the next thing that I would like to address is, where do you plan to stay? In Manitoba, there are different cities that you could live in. I know most people live in Winnipeg, Manitoba, because it is, one of the most developed. And of course, it makes sense because Winnipeg happens to be the capital of Manitoba. So yes, Winnipeg is one of the most developed cities in Manitoba. The next thing that I feel is important for you to know is that we don't have a lot of direct international flights coming into Manitoba. Even if the airport says it's international, please don't be deceived. Especially if you're coming from, outside of North America. We don't really get direct flights coming in. So if you decide Manitoba is home for you, just have it at the back of your mind that you would have to stop in another province first, before you then get to Manitoba. I mean, I don't consider it so much of a big deal, but I mean, it would be nice to want to travel and know that you can go to the airport in your city and you get a direct flight at least halfway through the journey, right, before you get a layover. But that's not the case in Manitoba. Most times you have to go to another province, which ends up being your first layover, and then you board the flight and then you stop in another city. Canada is just too far, okay? But yes, just have it at the back of your mind that we don't have a lot of direct flights coming in from outside of North America into Manitoba. The next thing I'll be talking about is transportation. Transportation in Manitoba is mostly via the city's public transit system, which is the bus, or you can go with your car or Uber, taxis, whatever you want. In Winnipeg, we call it the Winnipeg Transit, which is the bus system, okay? But if you don't want to go on the buses, you can buy your car and drive yourself around, right? Or you can take a taxi, or you can go with Uber. So yeah, that's how people get around. I personally don't feel the bus system is really bad, especially as a student, okay? Like, most students, I feel already look for accommodation close to school, and most of the universities here in Manitoba have direct buses, or buses that at least get very close to those schools, which makes it convenient for students to bus. But yeah, if you're working, I feel like it wouldn't be a bad idea to want to buy a car, because again, you're earning more money compared to most students. And also taking into consideration that most workplaces don't have, let's say, accessible bus routes, okay? So you might have to take the bus and then drop off at a certain point and walk for say 5, 10, 20 minutes, depending on where your workplace is, right? So yes, for someone who works, I don't think it's so much of a bad idea to get a car. But yes, the transit system is the public means of transportation here in Manitoba. We don't use trains as a means of transportation here in Manitoba, like within the cities, because Manitoba is not a very big province, so we don't really need trains to get around. Most people take the bus or they drive. The trains we have in Manitoba are mostly cargo trains, so like they bring products into the city, not so much for people to use to get around within the city. It's more to bring in food stuff, or bring in whatever products into the city. We do have trains that carry human beings but those trains mostly go inter-province, so like from one province to another, not really within Manitoba. So people mostly use the bus or they just drive. The next thing I'll be talking about is tourist attraction sites. I do not feel like we have a lot of tourist attraction sites here in Manitoba. I feel like it's better in other provinces. As a whole, I do not feel Canada has a lot of tourist attraction sites, or vacation destinations. I feel like our weather doesn't really allow us, to explore. So I feel like in Manitoba, it's even worse. Like in some provinces it's actually better, you know. And I guess also it makes sense because, you know, some other provinces are more developed and some of those other provinces are bigger, right? However, people are able to enjoy themselves while living in Manitoba. Like, you know, just find what, you know, makes you happy, find what you enjoy doing. You know, there would always be something. Okay, I feel like indoor activities are bigger here because the weather isn't, you know, really allowing us to do so much, you know, outdoor. And even, you know, in terms of outdoor activities, we have a very short period to get to do that. The next thing I'll be talking about Manitoba is housing. When it comes to houses, I feel like the land is cut really small. Like, I feel houses are so small. I just feel like they cut the land like, you know, cubes, like cubicles. That's just my own way of saying it. I just feel if you take the amount of money you're spending on a house here to another province, like worst case scenario, add a little more, I feel you'll be able to get, you know, a bigger space. That's just in my own words, right? So yes, I just feel the houses are not very big here and the land is very small. Emmy and I joke about the fact that, you know, in some neighborhoods here in Manitoba, the houses are built so close to each other because of how the land is cut, and they were just like, you know, from your house you can knock on your neighbor's window and ask them to lend you or borrow you something. So like, you know, if you're cooking and you run out of oil or salt, like, you know, or you need to borrow something, you can knock on their window from your house and then, like, you know, ask for something. Like, I just feel like it's so close. I mean, if you want, you know, more space or more land, you know, you just have to go, let's say, a little bit, you know, out of the city, not necessarily out of the city, but I just feel you have to go out to be able to get, you know, more space. But yeah, I mean, some people don't mind. I don't necessarily mind because I'm already here, okay? But yeah, I mean, having a big house would not be a bad idea, right? Like, what do you guys think? Still talking about housing, you know, I also just want to address the fact that I feel the cost of accommodation here in Manitoba just keeps going up. I've heard about how expensive the cost of accommodation is in Ontario, but then again, I'm not understanding why Manitoba is trying to be like Ontario, because they're charging, you know, so much for some of the new apartments that they're building these days. And like, I've done some house tour videos on this channel, and some of the prices that I hear, I'm just like, why? Like a standard 2-bedroom, you know, they're charging like 1,500, 1,700, like starting point for most of these new apartments now. And when you go into some of these spaces, like they're really small. Like I don't even get it. Like, why? You know, like before I feel like you could get like a nice 2-bedroom with like 1,200, but I feel like that's gradually phasing out. So like, if you want a really nice apartment here in Manitoba, most times just have like 1.5. Especially like with the newer apartments, I feel like it's just, you know, outrageous, and it doesn't make any sense to me because, you know, you're not in Ontario, okay? Like, why is it expensive? It's not like it's a very developed city like that. And again, this is my own opinion. I just don't understand why the price is increasing so much. And it's also annoying because the minimum wage is lower compared to, you know, some provinces, right? So the minimum wage isn't so much, so you shouldn't be increasing the cost of accommodation like that. Because I mean, how much are people earning? Like someone that earns minimum wage, like how do you expect them to afford a nice place to live in? Because I mean, you're charging so much, right? It's just, you know, it's not nice, okay? First of all, I feel like, you know, they cut the land very small, and then even for the apartments, I just feel like they're charging so much. And it just, you know, bothers me because not everybody is, you know, very wise when it comes to, you know, some kinds of financial decisions. But then again, I'm like, okay, because how do you expect someone that earns minimum wage to be able to afford a nice house or a bigger house, you know? When you're charging them 1,700 a month, right? Or 1,500 per month in accommodation, where is the extra money for them to save to want to buy a house? Like, you guys, I know that we have a credit system here in Canada, right? So yes, you can get a mortgage depending on how much you earn, but with the amount that they're charging, I just feel like you're, you know, reducing the options that people have, because, you know, that could take literally half of their salary or even more than half of their salary, right? So I just feel like these things need to be, you know, addressed with the fear of God in mind, okay? So yeah, I just feel like it is so expensive. So that's something you want to, you know, think about when moving to Manitoba. I'm going to do a separate video talking about accommodation in Canada and in Manitoba, so watch out for that video. So the next thing I'm going to be talking about is taxes. If you've heard about Canada, you've probably heard about the fact that they charge lots of taxes. In Manitoba, it is just more annoying, okay? Because in addition to, you know, the regular taxes that, you know, everybody's being taxed, you know, your pensions and all the other deductions that go out of your pay every month or, you know, bi-weekly, Manitoba charges you an additional 12%, you know. So just for living in Manitoba, okay, you're being charged an additional 12% per purchase, okay? So if you go to buy food or clothes or, you know, whatever you decide to go and buy, just have it in mind that you're going to be charged an additional 12%, you know, on the amount you spend, okay? So yes, that's just what happens when you live in Manitoba. This amount is different per province, okay? So yes, this is something you need to consider when you decide to move to Manitoba. My last and final point for this video would be the weather. I decided to make this the last point because I just felt there was so much to talk about and there was so much to get out, you know, when it comes to the weather. If you've heard about Canada, you definitely know that the weather here is, you know, something else. And if you've heard about Manitoba, you know that the weather is on another level. I just feel like when it comes to the weather, Manitoba doesn't have a very strong relationship with the weather, okay, because our weather here is so extreme. Like, it is either so hot or so cold. Like, I don't feel like there's an in-between. Maybe the in-between is spring or fall, but in spring it's so messy. So even if the weather is nicer out, you also don't want to be going out because it's messy. Like, the snow is melting, you know, there are puddles everywhere. So that's the spring. I feel like the fall will be the better option, but I mean, it's starting to get cold, so I don't know, I just feel like it's a love-hate relationship with the weather here. So yes, you need to brace yourself if you're moving to Manitoba. As when I filmed this video, our weather has been extreme. Yes, that's the best I can explain it. Like, for the past week or two, every time I've opened my you know, weather app, I always see like this red banner at the top saying extreme, is it extreme cold morning or extreme weather morning? I'm just like what did we ever do to deserve this? Like, it is so cold. Like, when you hear people saying like it gets to like -40 degrees, like, yes, it is true. -50, I've experienced it, okay? And like with the wind chill, like, it is so cold. Like, there's no way to explain it. It is just cold. Like, I mean, the thing I tell myself is people have been living here before I came here, okay? Like, I have been living here since I came. I have survived, right? I'm gonna keep surviving, okay? Like, I'm gonna be all right. So yeah, that's just it for me. Of course, you know, when you need to go out, you dress appropriately for the weather. Like, there's no trying to, you know, look extra fine. Of course, you don't want to look like struggle, but if you need to wear a big jacket, please wear a big jacket. Like, don't go and be wearing a hoodie on the streets. Like, you're gonna freeze, okay? Frostbite is real. I mean, when you experience the weather, you would understand, and nobody would tell you to wear, you know, your proper jacket, okay? So yeah, that's Manitoba for you. There was this day that I was on my phone, like, you know, just, you know, scrolling on my phone on the internet, you know, all of that, and then I came across this post. Basically, it was like Winnipeg is one of the coldest cities in Canada with a population of, I think, 100,000 people, and I'm just like I know Canada is cold. I know Manitoba is very cold, I mean, compared to other provinces, but I do not think about the fact that I'm actually living in one of the coldest cities in Canada. And then I'm just like, who sent me? Like, who really sent me? Because I'm living in a very cold place, and like this whole winter has been really weird. Like, it's so cold. And then there was another post that I saw earlier in the week, actually, and then it was like up until February 20th, we've had the 3rd highest seasonal snowfall or something like that. I'm gonna look for that post and put on the screen for you guys again, but it was just like, you know, in the past couple of years, you know, up until February 20th, we've had the 3rd highest seasonal snowfall. And I'm just like, I mean, I knew something was weird, you know, with how much snow we've been having outside, because I'm like, okay, like, you know, we already have so much snow, and you know, your weather app is still telling you we're gonna have some snow. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, where are we going to put the extra snow, because we already have so much snow? But I feel like the concern for me right now is, you know, just flooding, because we have so much snow. So when it starts getting warm and then the snow starts to melt, like, yeah. That's the reality of living in Manitoba. I just wanted to touch on, you know, some of the things that I've experienced living here in Manitoba, and you know, some of the things I feel would be important or helpful for someone who will be moving here. So yes, I just had to end with talking about the weather and how beautiful, how amazing our weather is, you know, even with how cold it is. It's just, yeah. I mean, Canada as a whole, we already know Canada has, you know, very long winters and, you know, short summers. But yeah, that's the reality of living in Canada. Anyways, guys, that's all I have for this video. I'm going to be doing more videos about my experiences living in Canada. So if that's the kind of content you're interested in, please do well to subscribe, so you know you would see those videos when they come up. But yeah, that's it for this video. If you have any questions, you know, thoughts, suggestions, whatever, you can feel free to leave them in the comment section down below, or you can send me a DM on Instagram at Favy's Corner, and I would definitely reply. But yeah, thank you so much for watching up until this point. I'll see you in my next video, but until then, stay safe and stay blessed. Bye.